What's up, everybody? This is Luther Palmer, and welcome to One Episode Stand, a podcast where Jobina Scott and I help you figure out what new shows to watch.
Or maybe reconsider a show you've recently seen. So for each and every podcast episode, we watch and discuss the series premiere of a brand new television show. Then, like the Rolling Stones we are, we move on to the next show.
We love them and leave them. We smash and dash. Everyone is out here having one-night stands, and we are having one-episode stands, but we do it for you, the listeners.
Now, I'm going to tell you, we try our best not to spoil anything, but we're not making any promises. We're really going to try, though. Luther, how you doing?
I am doing well. I'm doing super good. I'm healthy. I hate cliche terms, but one that I have adopted, and one that I say all the time, health is wealth.
It really is.
I feel healthy, and that to me is worth more than anything money can buy. So I feel extremely healthy.
Well, as someone who is coughing and hacking right now, whatever the winter cold is that's going around, my children have breathed it into my lungs, and I now have it. I'm going to agree with you. Health is wealth, and I need to get a little bit richer because I'm sick.
Little prosperity gospel.
That's right.
Okay, Jobina, I have a special announcement for you and our listeners. We now have an Instagram page.
Oh, Luther, I love Instagram. I'm so glad we're on it.
Let me start this. Are you more of an Instagram person or a Twitter person?
Instagram all the way. I have Twitter. I just let it pass me by.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm not really on Twitter, though. And then now we have the whole Elon Musk thing, and how's that going to turn out? But yeah, we have an Instagram page. It is One Episode Stand. I created the Instagram page because I had a friend. I was talking to a friend, and she recommended a show that we should review. And I thought, I think other guests might also want to interact with us.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to do that? I created an Instagram page, so I'm going to put our profiles up so they can see us. They can comment. I'm going to, talk about what shows we're doing. We might even put some clips from shows, and you can jump into our DMs to tell us what shows you want us to review. So that is the Instagram page, One Episode Stand. I think it might be One Episode Stand _podcast. But if you type in One Episode Stand, you'll pull us up.
You'll find us.
Today we are talking about peripheral. And I got to say up front, for many years, I put an extra I in that word.
You were saying peripheral?
Yes, I always said peripheral.
No.
Always. No. And I think just now I'm saying, I sounded like an idiot for all those years.
And nobody told you. Shame.
It's just peripheral. Yeah.
So Peripheral is on Prime. It's an hour-long drama. And I mean, it feels like it's set in the... is it 2099 or is set in the
so
future?
This is weird because there's two dates.
But it's a rollback, yes. So it's like 2099, but then you're rolling back to 2032, which is not that far into the future. Long story short, it's set somewhere in the future.
But I thought it was cool because it's set in two different futures. So you see a little bit of a near future look, and then you see a little bit of a far future look.
Yes.
What did you know about the show before we picked it for this episode?
Not one thing. I had not heard of it. It had not been suggested to me on any platform. Nothing.
So it was suggested to me on Prime, and I guess it's one. I think it's a Prime original, so it's one that they put the money into, and they're suggesting it to all the people except you.
Yeah, except for me.
Do you get on Prime a lot though?
But I was gonna say it's because I'm not on Prime a lot.
Okay.
I mostly get on there for our show. That's it.
Now that you've seen the show, what would you say it's about?
I mean, Luther, this is a hard one. I don't know what it's about. I watched this thing and I was like, is this about gaming in the future? Is it about alternative reality? Is it about this young woman?
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's about all these things.
It's about all of those things and more and more.
I think I would say big picture, it's about a woman who plays virtual reality games, and she's really good at it.
Very good.
And a company hires her to do some like next gen tech that is really immersive. But then also, and so that's in 2032, but then also in 2099, there are these characters talking about worlds ending and saving the world, and some worlds are already lost.
Yes.
And the show is about how these two worlds are connected, I think.
Okay. Well, and I would say it's also important to note that this young woman is not the person they hired. They hired her brother, and she's playing as him. He's not as good as she is, and they're sort of looking at his stats, thinking that it's him, but it's her sneaking onto his games and playing them that has made him this famous, and all of this earns them money, right, for their family.
Right. And I learned this new term called jockeying, which is if I'm a wealthy player, I would hire the brother to use my character to advance far in the game. And I would pay him to do that. And then he would hand the character back to me. And that's called jockeying. And that's what they did to make money. But it was interesting because the brother acknowledges fully the sister is better than him. I think her name is Flynn.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and it wasn't made clear in the first episode, she doesn't play a lot. Like she doesn't like playing. So he does this thing, although she's better at it and she probably can make more money. There was some notion that there was some sexism involved. That she could even make more money playing as him because they think he's a man.
It's better for him to be
came
out
up a
front.
little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. How did the show look, sound, and feel?
I'm going to say I'm hoping for, in the future, a show that is like as bright as can be, as many colors, and then it's really dark and scary. Because this to me is another like everything's brown and tan and gray. And I'm like, okay, I get it. It's supposed to be like a little mysterious.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be wearing yellow, but everyone's going to get killed. That's what I want. I want something bright that's going to be dark because this seems like it's shot, it's dark, and it's going to be dark.
But doesn't that make sense though? The world... It's like art is a secondary concern in the world, it seems, these days. We appreciate art less and less. So it only makes sense that another 60 years in the future, everything's just brown and gray, which is sad.
Right. We don't have a lot to look forward to.
Unless there's an artistic revolution.
Maybe so.
Was Star Trek a bright? I mean, they did have the bright shirts.
At least they had on the bright uniforms.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other futuristic shows, how they depict the future. But you're right. In the 2099 especially, like everyone was wearing gray, black, dark. All the buildings were dark. Yeah, I also think it's one of these shows where there was a child in 2099 who was speaking to an adult, but you can kind of tell the child was in a child's body, and you could tell it was a mature person. So it's one of these things where what's real, who's real, you're never really clear about what's really happening.
What's really happening, yeah.
So there's an air of confusion. Like you say, like what is the show about? There's an air of confusion as they sort of build the world that this show is going to exist in. There was a lot of violence in the show. It was a very... And we kind of picked this show because we were looking for shows with feminine leads. But to me, the show presented as very masculine.
Yeah.
Boys play video games. She's a gamer, but it's violence. Like you said, the color is very dark. There's invisible car. There's very like futuristic thing, like visible cars and futuristic guns. There's a sonic boom gun, and all that stuff just seemed masculine to me.
It's made for the masculine viewer, I think.
Yes, for sure. Do you play video games at all?
Not at all.
Have you ever?
I have. Let me tell. I'm going to take you back to 1980 something. When we got the first computer in our household. And there was some kind of mummy game.
Mummy game?
I don't even know what it was called. But I tried that thing out, and I was like, I might have to, if this is what computers are about, I'm probably going to have to pass. I just was not interested. I don't like video games. And I am quite sure that they are really meaningful to lots of people. Maybe even you. I don't know. You like them?
I don't like them as much as I used to. I used to like them. College ended my video game life because some of my friends who were in college for fun, they had attended college for fun. They played video games around the clock. So me, who I foolishly went to college to learn. That was my bad.
Get out of here. You didn't know what that thing was all about.
That was my bad. So they would kick my ass up and down the field, like playing basketball, playing football, shooting game, like everything. I would just lose badly. So I just said, you know what? Let me just step away. So I haven't been a big gamer. I mean, I still enjoy it, but I'm not competitive. I'm not. And I have friends who play around the clock when new games come out. They're very serious about it. They love it. There actually is, this is a little bit of a tangent, but there's this research about why men are attracted to video games. And it has to do with status, and it has to do with knowing your status. And they talk about how the world has changed and how careers and professional status doesn't have the same look as it did before, where you knew where you were in the world. But video games give men this very concrete sense of, here's where I am, here's what my score is, here's how I'm doing. And that connects with men more than it connects with women.
And here's how I rank against other people.
Yes, exactly,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
That's
and that's something that appeals to men. Okay, was there anything that you wanted to see more or less of?
Maybe I wanted to know a little bit more of the backstory of the mother. Like, I think that was a little bit underdeveloped. We know that she's blind and that Flynn is taking care of her.
Right.
But I was curious to know kind of why they were in the situation they were in.
Yeah, and she had to have some medication that was $1,000 a pill.
$1,000 a pill.
And she had to take it every day?
I needed to know more about that.
That was wild. And she had to get the medicine from some nefarious characters.
Yep.
That whole thing was strange. I was interested in the future tech stuff. I wanted to see that. That's what draws me to these types of movies is thinking about what's going to exist in the future. There was a moment where in 2032, Flynn is getting some money out of the ATM. And this person says, only people that still use cash are people who are up to no good. And I thought about, we're supposed to be in a cashless society by now. Remember that was the promise?
Already, yeah.
Do you still carry cash?
I do. I carry cash, not just a small amount of cash, because of two reasons. One is because I travel a lot and I valet my car at the airport.
Okay.
And so for
tip
me,
money.
I always have to have tip money.
Right, right.
But then secondarily, sometimes I can't find my ATM card. I am not a person who does a good job of putting things back where they were. I remember my dad being like, Jobina, it is really important. And I was like, why? It seems like ridiculous. Until I'm digging in my purse, like
all the time.
Where is my card? Where's my wallet even? So I have to have like a little bit of cash in the car so that if I am somewhere and I have forgotten to bring all the things that are necessary to make transactions in this world, I can still do it.
Do you use tap pay with your phone?
You know I'm not technologically savvy.
Jobina.
I don't.
If you never listen to anything else I say, get tap pay on your phone. The number of times I have walked into a grocery store and think, I don't have my wallet. It's in the car.
Yes.
But I'm always carrying my phone. You literally just tap your phone to the thing and it just, boop, you're done. You don't have to touch any keys. And for me, it's also cleaner. It's safer. It's faster.
It's accepted everywhere?
It's accepted. I mean, Kroger is the one place where it's not accepted, which makes me upset. But I mean, McDonald's, Taco Bell, Meijer, the grocery store, anywhere. I can't think of a place that I go to that doesn't have tap pay other than Kroger.
Okay, following this recording, Luther, I'm going to go on my phone and I'm going to master tap pay.
It takes...
Because sometimes your girl needs it.
Yeah, it takes 4 minutes. Yeah. What about paperless? Because we're also supposed to be in a paperless society. How much paper do you consume?
I try to be as paperless as possible. Like every time I go to the mailbox and I'm like, are we still doing this? Like really? Really? Like sending paper to my physical address is what we're still doing. It's utter nonsense. Like I Have you ever heard of the Remarkable tablet?
Oh, yes. Do you have that?
I use Remarkable now for my work.
Really?
Because this is what would happen to me, Luther. I would have a notebook, especially when we started working kind of hybrid from home and from the office. I would have a notebook. I'm trying to take consistent notes that I can go and look back on.
Right.
And then I'd be in my home office and realize I left that notebook in my office.
Yeah.
So then I'm trying to find something else I can write on. And I just said, look, I have to call it a day. I have to acknowledge that I can't keep up with notebooks. Therefore, I'm going to use Remarkable. Everything can be uploaded to my computer. I love the Remarkable tablet. I've only been using it like 2 months. I love it.
Because I have the same thing. I carry a notebook. I carry a little notebook, and I'm always forgetting it. I'm always leaving it. So then I have scrap pieces of paper that I'm trying to transpose the notes from these scraps into my notebook. And when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if it's ready yet for prime time.
It's good. It's good.
It's
the
good?
feel of the pen or the pencil is really good.
Oh.
I'm telling you, try it. As long as you can have this thing with you. And then if, God forbid, I forget my Remarkable somewhere, I have my laptop. I just try to take
You
the
can go
notes
to get your notes, yeah.
on my laptop, and I can get them and follow up and,
Okay,
and all
so
of that.
if you do tap pay, I will do Remarkable.
You will get Remarkable.
I will get
do
Remarkable.
That. Hold me accountable. Let's check in. But I'm gonna do it.
But I like seeing the future tech. I mean, like I said, there was a gun that shot a sonic boom.
Yes, wasn't that crazy?
That was really cool. I thought that was really cool. But they were saying not only did it force a person back, but he was saying it also can compress your organs.
Yeah, it was debilitating to the people who were shot by it. It was terrible.
But I actually think this was technology pursued by the U.S. military in the past. I think they've actually tried to do this.
Wow.
So, okay, next question. Who's having sex?
Nobody that I can tell. At least not in the beginning. Was anybody having sex? How did I miss that?
Well, no one was having sex, but there was some sexual
some tension between who and who.
Storyline. So Flynn was making eyes with the cop. Remember that?
Yes.
And the cop is getting married, and her friend said, you need to go after him. So there's that. I think that's going to be a developing storyline. But also the more interesting storyline was, and you already said it, she sort of has to play the game as him. And in the other scene,
in the virtual, yes,
he was seducing a woman.
Yes.
So then now she's seducing a woman, and now we get into all these complex ideas about what does this mean? How does this happen?
Right, or does it mean anything?
And I thought about, do you watch the show Black Mirror?
I was just about to bring up Black Mirror, the episode where he is literally making out with his friend and he doesn't realize it.
Two guys.
Yes.
They fully
do
realize it. Yeah.
That's right. I'm trying to remember.
Two guys are playing this futuristic fighting game, and in the middle of a tussle, they start kissing because one of the guys is playing as a female character.
Yes.
And then they go from kissing to having full-on sex.
In the virtual
and then it's like,
realm.
Are we gay? Are we not
Are we just friends?
Are we friends?
Yes, I was just about to bring up that episode of Black Mirror. It took me there.
And that's what and I think that might happen a couple times in the show because she's playing as this man.
Right.
And she's interacting in the world as this heterosexual man.
Well, and her first task was to seduce this woman.
Yeah.
That was her first task in the virtual world.
Yeah.
And she has like the best lines. Her pickup lines were great. She managed
She did.
She said, we could sit here all night and I could try to romance you.
Right.
Or you seem like a woman who values her time. We could just cut to the chase.
She
appreciated it.
I was taking notes, believe you me. I was taking notes on lines. So that was interesting. I don't know how much of that's gonna play out, but that was interesting to me.
Yeah.
The mixed gender gaming role play thing.
Yeah.
And it sort of gets to our next question that we like to discuss is, what were some of the larger themes? And I think one of the themes that this show brings out is this notion of what is real.
Yeah.
And I think 50 years ago, I think we knew what was real. And I think 50 years from now, no one will know what's real. The
Right.
concept of realness will be completely abstract.
And subjective too, right? Whatever you
Yeah.
think is real is real.
Yeah. So what any other broader themes that you can think of? I mean, that was the one that was sort of overarching for me.
This is related. This is not a new theme, but I think what was interesting to me is that when she entered like the virtual reality world, like that is one existence. But then like the VR world starts to come to her. That was the
Right.
crazy thing. It's like
Right.
now you're like receiving calls from real people in your realm, or maybe they were in 2099, I don't know, who are
Yeah.
telling you you need to interface with the game. So talk about not understanding what's real. It's like to have the two realms mix was such a head trip.
And I think that's where the future is heading.
Ooh,
we're
scary.
gonna exist in several planes, I think. And we have to sort of balance our I almost said real life, but what will be real in the future, right? Okay, I mean, I think that covers. I mean, I think we've sort of touched on the show, and now for the question we've all been waiting for: are you going to see Peripheral again, or was it a one night stand?
Yeah, so here's what I have to say, Peripheral. The date wasn't good for me. Like I just I didn't like it. I'm not gonna. No, we're not going out anymore.
As I was watching the show, I was like, "Yeah, Jobina's not gonna like this."
You knew it. I did not like it. I was like, why did Luther make me watch this mess?
Yeah, this is not for Jobina. It was okay. I'm going to stick with it. I didn't love it, but I'm going to stick with it because of the future stuff. And there was also robot fighting, which I'm big into robots. So I think it was a masculine show. And as a masculine person, I think they got just enough for me to keep watching. So I'm gonna hang in there.
Very good. I have to tell you, Luther, that the thing that was liberating about watching it and not liking it was that this show gives me the freedom to just walk away. I was like, I don't have to feel compelled to watch this again. Like, I'm done. No pity second date for Peripheral for me.
But now, did
I'm
you
out.
have any educational thoughts when you were watching Peripheral?
Well, I was really blown away, Luther, by the technology, which was in the not too distant future, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so for me, I'm thinking if this is where we're going with technology, as a person who works in education, my assessment is that we are woefully behind. Like I'm thinking about just the transition from face-to-face education before the pandemic to school districts all over the country and world, I'm sure, trying to shift to a digital platform for students. We didn't even have enough technology. Everyone's trying to order laptops and Chromebooks for their students, and then helping teachers understand platforms. Like it just was,
Yeah.
to me, it was just a stark example of how far we have to go in terms of not just seeing technology as kind of a one-note basic tool, but instead learning how to leverage technology for student learning. So that is kind of what struck me. And of course, this is a fictional future, but I just think we have so much more to do to understand, one, to have the resources in public education,
Right,
but
right.
then two, to really understand how to leverage technology for student learning and create opportunities for kids to fall in love with technology, pursue technology,
yeah.
careers. Like there's a lot to be done.
So let me ask you this, and this is a significant tangent. What grade would you give us for how we handled COVID from a technology standpoint?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I'd give us a C. So, and I mean us as a country, like
Yeah.
we
Not me and you.
school
Not you and
systems-
I.
No, and I was thinking not my own school system. Please get out of here. You handled it poorly. I'd give you an F. I'd give me an A.
I handled it super poorly.
You did. Okay. But I mean, I'd say a C because we were, I mean, obviously no one anticipated it, but we didn't have the tools necessary. We were sort of coming up with on the fly, first it was asynchronous. It was just like, we're going to give kids some work. We're going to kind of check in
Yeah.
with them because
Yeah.
we don't know how to even leverage the technology to teach online. And then, of course, we were able to make those types of shifts where we're teaching online and we have the tools. But at the same time, like American children are behind. Like if we're looking at it at data out of the 2020 school year, like kids lost a lot of ground because of the the modality that they were learning at over the pandemic. So a C at best.
My kids definitely lost ground. So the funny thing about it was once myself and my wife went back to work, it was like, okay, I'm going to be home for a week, and then she's going to be home for a week, and then I'm going to be home for a week. But my kids were still home. So during the week that I'm working from home, I'm their teacher. The problem was the school, they could display how well the kids did on a week-to-week basis. So my wife would come in and be like, here's the weeks that you had the kid, and there's missing assignments. They're getting F's and D's. And then she's like, and then here's the week that I have the kids, and all this stuff is turned in.
It's done.
They're getting A's. I failed my children during that time. And I think a lot of other parents failed their children, and I'm not sorry. Like I'm not sorry. I was concerned about my own mental health. I was not trying to work.
Like I'm trying to work
and be a full-time teacher, and the whole COVID thing was happening. So, hey, I got an F, and sometimes in life you take your F and you keep it moving. So.
What about you in science?
So there was so much science and technology in this show, but there was one thing I sort of wanted to highlight. She works at a 3D printing shop. So Flynn, the main character, works at a 3D printing shop. And man, 3D printing is just really taking off. It is, I mean, maybe let me explain what 3D printing is as opposed to how we used to do it.
Good.
Because,
I need to know because
so
for me
3D
it just
printing,
seems like I could print a keychain instead of buying one.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yeah, you can. Yeah. So 3D printing is something called additive manufacturing, where you start with nothing and your printer like adds like one line at a time, sort of adds links to this chain over and over and over again, right? That's additive manufacturing. Mm-hmm. What we used to do is something called subtractive manufacturing, where you start with a block.
Okay, and you whittle it down.
You whittle it down, so you subtract away things until you get the shape that you want. Additive manufacturing is just allows for much more complexity and eventually much more speed. So now we can only sort of additively manufacture one type of thing. So we can do metal and we can do plastic. Mm-hmm. We can't yet do like plastic and metal together.
Okay.
But eventually, you know, the headphones that you're wearing, eventually you'll be able to do electronic circuits, you'll be able to do plastic, you'll be able to do rubber, you'll be able to do all those things together. That's what existed in 2032 in this show. And that's what she worked. They were able to build like a virtual reality headset from a 3D printing machine. But that's where it's going. I mean, even the notion, I think my cousin even just told me there's a printer that prints meat.
What?
So you know how Beyond Burgers and Impossible Burgers, it's all lab meat, right? It's lab meat. Well, you can 3D, or there's research being developed where you can print meat. But this is the future. You'll be able to print macaroni and cheese. You'll be able to print steak. You'll be able to print.
That's insane.
It seems like literally limitless potential on 3D printing and additive manufacturing. So that's my scientific nugget. All right, thank you all for listening to One Episode Stand. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to the podcast to be alerted when new episodes drop. You can also go to the Instagram page, One Episode Stand. If you're listening on iTunes, you can give us a rating. The theme music is Freedom by Paradox Hip Hop. We'll be back next time with another series premiere. Jobina, every story has a moral. Let's end on this. What was the moral of this episode?
If you want to make a show for multi-gendered audiences, you can't just put a female lead. That's what I'm going to say, and I'm sticking to it. That's the moral for me.
Yeah, but then as I thought about it, I was thinking, I think maybe the female lead even itself lends itself to a male watcher, right? Like he wants to see an attractive woman.
Exactly.
And she's into technology and she's into the games and playing video games. Yeah.
Come again, writers. Come again.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everybody.